So I have gut instincts. I have a lot of gut instincts. Sometimes I can't figure out why my instincts are what they are. And I know when I feel a gut reaction to something, but I can't fully explain it, then I'll just leave it alone and I'll put it in the background and I'll sit on it until I can then put together and articulate why my gut reaction was like this or was like a certain way. So I remember a few people in the beginning, I would say like maybe 6 months ago, talk about alchemy, alchemists. And I always have this connotation about alchemists or alchemy having to do with the New Age. Hey, Nancy Ann. And I'm not saying New Age is horrible, but there is definitely a negative connotation. And it could be through the perspective, through the lens of a Christian, because it seemed that the Christians and the New Agers seem to conflict. And maybe there's a reason why. But I don't want to make any one of those two wrong without fully substantiating, not just making an arbitrary choice. Okay, alchemists are wrong or New Agers are wrong and only Christians are right. Okay. It really comes down to the definition of what alchemy is, and it comes down to the outcome. So those are the two things, right? Because what I've learned is that my whole protocol is about life. Anything that doesn't at all revolve around life, whatever it is, as the ultimate outcome, then you have to question, well, is that really something that I want to explore? Do I want to explore another death process? We have so many of them. Why would I want to explore another one, right? So the outcome has got to be life. And of course, I can go into that whole thing with Jilly Juice and why that's, pro-life versus death and all that. But I want to get to the whole alchemy, because I've noticed that a lot of my new agers, the ones that do the, I don't know, the Reiki, the spiritual healing of sorts, they do readings on people and all that. And I don't think it's, I don't think it's bad per se. Okay, I don't really have any opinion on it. Do I want to know my fortune? Nah, I'll make my fortune. I don't want somebody to tell me what it is, right? So I wouldn't necessarily go into that world and explore it and chase after it. But I understand why people want to have that. But, I'm looking at, so these New Agers that I see always tend to seem like they're gravitating towards this word alchemy. And at first I thought it was just like learning how to mix chemicals and all this stuff, which, okay, that's what I'm doing now is I'm doing chemistry. Alchemy is chemistry. But when I actually looked at the word, which I didn't even look at the definition when it first gave me that gut reaction about it, because I wasn't there yet in looking at life and death. I wasn't there with the whole immortality. I wasn't there with the positive, negative elements. I wasn't there yet. So there's no way I could articulate why it is I had that gut reaction around alchemy. And there are specific people who adopt or always use the word alchemy that for some reason I have butted heads with. And it's nothing that, they're probably good people, but it seems like that energy around the word alchemy and then that lifestyle and that whatever seems to rub me the wrong way. And I kind of figured out, first of all, they're not even mentioning really, now some of them have mentioned Jilly Juice, but really are now kind of, waning on that. Some of them have just like said, okay, I love Jilly Juice, and then, but really their alchemy and their New Age stuff seems to trump everything else. It seems that all of the conspiracies and everything else seem to trump everything but Jilly Juice and using the positive elements and giving people in for an amazing health. Yeah, you got to go through pain, but that's all part of it. No, it seems like that the New Age, the alchemy, whatever it is, seems to be the only thing really that they're gravitating towards. And so I'm thinking like, okay, well, what is this definition about alchemy? What is this? So finally, I think, you know, it triggered it today. Why I talk about today? Because why today of all days, when I've heard about this word alchemy for the last like 6 months, but never could put my finger on it. Well, today, this guy, Trey Zimmerman. Now, I think he likes to, he's a conspiracy dude, super Christian, like super Christian. And I'm sure you've seen him on my Facebook. I'm not talking smack about him. I'm just letting you know what triggered me into talking about alchemy. Well, he said, "Oh yeah, Jillian," because when I talk about immortality, he's like, "Yeah, you're on the right path. You know, this is alchemy. However, there are a few things that you're missing." And I'm like, first of all, that's a lot of gall to say. Well, how do you know what I'm missing if we're not? I mean, we're looking at now reversal of a lot of different things. We're looking at major transformations. Not saying that we're going from death to life, but we're seeing people's health completely improve. How do you know that there's something missing? And so he used the word alchemy, and then he started then focusing on the whole thing with distilled water. Well, the thing that's missing is the fact that we need to put more emphasis on distilled water because it's the pituitary gland having to do with the as your antenna to the spirits and with this fluoride. Actually, I knew he was coming from the fluoride conspiracy side, right? And that's where he was leaning towards. And he was talking about that fluoride, or not fluoride, but that the distilled water is the best. It's the only thing that really helped his joints. And I'm like, okay, all right, look, if you're drinking just distilled water, that is dead water. There's no minerals, there's no nutrition, there's no anything. So you have issues in your body that there are negative elements, no different than taking any negative element out there that's going to hurt your body, right? Distilled water has 0 elements in it. So the reason why your joints feel great is because you're not even understanding balance. You should really actually be in pain. To run away from pain when you understand Jilly Juice, which I don't think he's never registered on my website. He hasn't bought the book. And he's using the word alchemy. And I'm like, oh, this is a red flag, and there's a pattern here. Let me delve in deeper. So that's when I looked up the word alchemy. Okay. So, and I'm not answering questions on private messenger. People private message me and they're not going to get their questions answered. No. Jesus, people. All right. Okay. My phone's so slow. All right, I'll answer that later by saying, no, I'm not answering your question. Go buy my book. I'm not answering any questions through private messenger. People will figure that out one day when I tell them. All right, so look at the word alchemy. Alchemy. Alchemy is the medieval forerunner of chemistry based on the supposed transformation of matter. It was concerned particularly with attempts to convert base metals into gold or to find a universal elixir. And this is a seemingly magical process of transformation, creation, or combination. So we are not transforming, okay, life to life. Life is life. If you're living and then you're taking Jilly Juice, you're living. Yeah, you may be transforming the quality of your life, but you're not converting anything like a major transformation that's almost like magical, like converting base metals into gold. Okay, that's a major transformation. That's like a magical, that's like saying, King Midas, everything he touches turns to gold, right? We're not doing that. We're not taking something that's dead and making it alive, and we're not taking that's alive and making it dead, not under Jilly Juice. But guess who's practicing alchemy? In the true sense, who is practicing alchemy? The holistic and the allopathic world. So it's no wonder that there's a girl that still practices, herbal herbs and everything and mixtures, use the word alchemy or alchemist. It's no wonder that Trey Zimmerman, who hasn't even read my book or done anything with it, who still circulates in the conspiracy world, talk about alchemy. And then there you go. He's looking at trying to avoid certain things, like avoiding, mineral water of sorts, not like mineral water, but like, reverse osmosis, or even tap water that's left out, or filtered water. No, there's no wonder why these people, these new agers, are using the word alchemy, because it's dabbling in magic. It's dabbling in casting spells. I mean, you have to make that connection when you're doing readings on people, and I'm not trying to knock anyone that's in that, and I get it. That's some people's, preference in life. But when you're taking the word alchemy and you're applying it to my protocol, and that's kind of your MO already, that you already were an herbalist, you practiced in dabbling with different things that transform the body from life to death. Because look at the outcome in the holistic, allopathic, new age, Reiki, readings, mediums, all those people that are practicing all those things. Because I don't see, there's two mediums that I know on my Facebook. They both say they love me, but they are not mentioning at all Jilly Juice at all. There's like, hey, I'm going to do a reading. It's $75 or this much money. I'll do it over the phone, or I'll do some kind of energy work on you. But they're not advertising Jilly Juice. They're not giving that as an option at all as part of their services, because when you are working on somebody, manipulating all of their different energies, and negative energies coming up, there's no way for that negative energy to leave the body. So guess what it does? It reinfects the body. So what are you doing? You're practicing alchemy because you're taking those negative elements and you're mixing it and you're messing with that person's energy and that person's body, and you're also not even healthy yourself. So what exactly are you contributing to that person's health? More unhealth? More negative elements? And that's the true alchemy. So no, you can't categorize my protocol as alchemy. And I knew it pissed off one lady when I said, do not use the word alchemy. And I couldn't even articulate why, but my first gut reaction was, this isn't alchemy. Alchemist has a very negative connotation. It's baggage. It is baggage. But I mean, my reasoning back then was the fact that I just didn't want to have that as a category, because that does trigger some people who maybe, who are Christian, who don't like the new age type of practices, because it does conflict with some of their belief systems. Not to say that that I think that just because you don't believe in something, you shouldn't do it, but to describe Jilly Juice as an alchemy, it would completely just, alienate a certain segment of the population. That's why I don't use very major trigger words. Now, immortality definitely has a lot of baggage, but there is definitely a reasoning behind it, because it really does explain what I think the future holds. Not that I could say that that's what's going to happen for people, because some people will get off the protocol, go back into the alchemist world and play with pharmakia and die in the system. But the whole point of Jilly Juice is to stay in the positive elements, get, a combination of negative elements that are, kept at a balance based upon the laws of the immune system. And then that if you have way more negative than positive, then obviously you're going to be back in the alchemy world, in the holistic allopathic world. So yeah. So now when I mention alchemy and someone wants to send me a link or a video about, shamanism and alchemy and Ormus greens, and believe me, I've heard them all. I've been in almost every single freaking group on Facebook. My husband is a trucker. I was at home a lot or on the truck, just listening to videos, talking to people all over Facebook. I have been in the Pleiadian, that world, the Nibiru world, the Planet X world, playing with all of the alchemy type stuff, obviously the holistic world. I've done the whole MK Ultra, the beta sex slaves, the reptilian, did the crypto, I don't do cryptocurrency, but I understood that concept. I've probably been into every single group that's on the internet. You name a group, I've been in it, I've dabbled in it, I've explored it. So there is nothing out there that is going to surprise me or is going to be like, oh, I didn't know about that. No. Shamans, they dabble in alchemy. Shaman's Age, Ormus greens. I learned about Ormus greens, which is basically a powder with stevia in it. Okay, I used Ormus greens from Sun Warrior back when I was mixing my pills, powders, and supplements. That stuff is crap. So there is no alchemist out there. And I'm sorry that you have to put a sad face when I say, hey, please, when I say alchemy is this, when I make a flat out statement, I'm not asking somebody to teach me anything. I have made a flat statement that says this is what this is. Jilly juice is not alchemy. Da, 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 da. It doesn't invite somebody to go and try to dispute it in the nicest way possible. Because I pick up on people who don't believe, and then I cast them out. Because I don't need non-believers. Who wants to have that rotten apple in the bunch? Who wants somebody to say, oh yeah, I love you, I love you, I love you, but let me just stab you in the back every chance that I get, even though it doesn't seem like you're stabbing me in the back, but every single time you try to like refute or say, oh yeah, I believe you 90%, but you're missing 10%. That's another manipulative way of undermining somebody. So no, I've been getting rid of all of my non-believers because there's no reason to have them. If you believe in alchemy and you believe in the death trajectory and the death process and all of that, then you stay in that world. You have no reasoning to be in my world, but I don't need you to debate with me. Okay, so that's the reason why I have very little patience for debate on my Facebook, and I have no problem blocking people. I would rather chase somebody away from my protocol than have to deal with their energy. I'm not here to convince. Okay, so if you are playing in the alchemist world, then you stay there. Don't try to mix my protocol with yours. We're not in a collaboration. And I've said I don't want to collaborate with the holistic allopathic world. Okay, and I mean it. It's a total like profound statement. I don't want to collaborate with alchemists. I'm not trying to hang out with biotech, because that's what alchemists are. They're the friendlier version of biotech. All I'm doing is trying to create life and trying to continue life, because you're already living. If you're living, then continue to live. But if you're living and then you die, guess what? You played in alchemy. You allowed an alchemist to get to you. But when you're still living and you're living and you continue to live, there's no major transformation. Yeah, you may have to go through some pain because you violate the laws of your immune system, but you're not dead. Now, if someone brings people back from the dead, that's alchemy. I'm not trying to do that either. I'm just saying, hey, if you're alive, let's continue to live. Why die? That's it. There is nothing transformational about that. It's transformational in our society because people are so used to living a crappy quality of life. Now we're trying to change that. Thanks, Denise Barrett. I appreciate that. And Christina too. So yeah, I don't have any sympathy for anyone that feels bad because I'm being direct with them. Nothing is up for debate. I have a specific belief system, I guess my mother would call it, for a reason. Either you get on board or you don't. And that's it. And your actions do speak loud. So I'm going to be getting rid of some of these alchemists off my page because when I see their name or I see their face, when I see them liking stuff, when I know they're not even at all putting Jilly Juice as even part of their curriculum, and they're doing readings over the phone and they're doing all these things, I get a really just twisted feeling in my stomach. And who needs that? I want to know that someone really cares about humanity and they're not out just to get their money because you have this belief system of that it's about just energy, but not about health. So I think I'm going to do that. There's going to be 2 people I'm going to take off my Facebook because I'm not going to play that. And there's no reason for me to say, okay, well, maybe they'll change their mind. No, when they're active on my Facebook, I see it. If you're not active on my Facebook, then I don't know about you. But when I see your name and I look at your page and look what you're doing, and then you're trying to dispute, or overly syrupy support me, but yet your actions in your own world are completely the opposite. Well, you know, I'm going to have to make my own decisions on that. You've given me all the data that I need. So yeah, I'm going to do that. So anyways, I just wanted to explain the whole thing with alchemy and the reason why I felt a trigger around that. And there it is. It finally came to surface today. Thank you, Trey Zimmerman, who's off my Facebook now. All right. Talk to you guys later. Bye.